Before we begin, thank you very much to Turnip1981 for joining the Patreon campaign. I don't know what was great about the turnips in 1981, but I am sure you are one of the best turnips of the year. Thank you very much for contributing. Thank you very much for a little contribution to help keep the channel going for a little bit longer and to keep the daily grind a-grindin'. Alright, so I will admit to you guys, this is not plan A. I actually have some kind of special videos on the way, but checks and balances first. So we're kind of going to one of our favorite fallbacks. We are browsing a weird website where you can buy really weird, obscure, and knockoffy Transformers. So at the moment, we are on Temu, Temu.com. I think we've done this with Wish and AliExpress. Of course, we've done it multiple times with eBay. It's Temu's turn today because it is another site where you can just buy oodles and oodles of things for about 90% less than what you'd buy at the store, which tells you that it's made with the most quality you could imagine if you really enjoy lead paint. So we're going to be taking a look at what Transformer or Transformer-like offerings you can actually obtain from this website, starting with, this is a typical example of what you can find there. There's a lot of just straight-up G1 knockoff / reproductions that you can purchase from this website. Dinobots are probably chief among them because, hey, the Dinobots are always super popular and Hasbro never reissues them. So this makes perfect sense for them to find. Of course, not authentic reissues. They are knockoffs. Cannot guarantee the quality of any of these. Let's see. $40 might not be the worst, though. Might not be the worst. But let's see what else they have in offering. So as far as like G1 reissue stuff goes, at least a little bit of it. We'll get to some more later. There is this take on Optimus Prime, where the Autobot symbol, of course, for legal reasons, has been removed. But we've also got chrome gold instead of chrome silver. Now, this just kind of looks like it's heavily yellowed in the sun. The concern for me here is that this is knocking off a legitimate, very rare version of the original Optimus Prime toy, which can be really deceptive. The fact that they are knocking off something that is essentially a lucky draw super rare item, that's a little bit iffy. So that's kind of why you have to watch out for a lot of this stuff. Otherwise, yeah, it's just an unmarked Optimus Prime. Everything else about it's pretty typical. Same size, same accessories, same trailer, just changed the sticker and the chrome. But that's not the only Prime I found. I also found this one that was actually kind of interesting to me. Now, yeah, the robot mode is just the standard white Optimus Prime you would expect to find with your Ultra Magnus toy, albeit with blue windshields instead of clear. The interesting thing about this is the trailer. In all the times I've thought about white Optimus Primes being like an Ultra Magnus they could get from an Optimus Prime toy, I never really thought about turning his original trailer a color to match. That one never really crossed my mind. And now that I see it in person, I kind of think to myself, why didn't I ever think that? Because in my head, if it's got a trailer, it's always the Ultra Magnus car carrier. Never even occurred to me that you could also just make his trailer white as well and make the whole thing Magnus-based. So I thought that was an interesting find. Of course, knockoff as hell, but you know. Then there's stuff that definitely looks more like the official, and this is weird. This is weird. So here we have the device label Ravage, the one that turned into a USB drive, like a fully functioning USB drive, you know, and then turns into like a little desk cat for yourself. I don't know why these are not mass-produced by Hasbro themselves, because this seems like they would make a killing on it, if only because it's a cat thing, you know? But the fun part about this is, look at the capacities. 4 gigs, 16, 32, 64, and 128 gigs on this thumb drive, which is pretty impressive, considering, you know, it's only $12 and it turns into a cat. It's more impressive when you remember, I believe the original one was like only 2 or 4 gigs at the most. That was the weird thing about device label. That, yeah, it functioned as claimed, but it was also really, really poor functioning. It was very limited. They were always very limited in what they could do. But this, you know, as long as the memory is reliable and it's not going to fry, and, you know, and all the legs hold on to Ravage, it's technically an improvement over the original. Kind of weird like that. As long as we're talking about devices, how about these earbuds that are based on Optimus Prime or Bumblebee, and I believe there's a Megatron one as well. Shockwave one, actually. Yeah, featuring their names, featuring their logos. Yeah, just like these Transformer-styled, like really high-quality earbuds for $16. Down from a cost of $83, by the way, so you know they are high quality and certainly not knockoffs that might explode in your ear. Not the kind of thing I would stick anywhere near my head, that's all I'm saying. Let's move into like some more actual toys. We'll get into some of the odd ones now. Would you like, oh no, that's random. The caption on this site is terrible. Give me a minute. Okay, and we are now back, and I would ask you, would you like an Ultraman head sticking out of your basic Transformer? Now, I would call them rescue bots. They remind me, not of rescue bots, they remind me of, what were they? They're some of the Evergreen toys that had the head sticking out of them. They didn't fully transform, though, so now I don't even know where these came from. But they're obviously some form of knockoff, and yeah, I don't recall Ultraman transforming into, like, trucks. I mean, I'm not up on my Ultraman. Is that a series I missed? I don't know. Just weird things. Weird things. Obviously was some kind of Transformer at some point, though. See, moving on to something else that is even farther away from Transformers, I found one of these, which I think we've talked about things like this before. And I can't remember if we talked about this specific one or not. This one's just fascinating to me. So you've got all these, I mean, before King Oger made it cool. Here's a bug combiner. And actually doesn't seem too bad. I want to know why it always is that, like, when they do beetles in Japan, it's always blue or red. It just feels like that's a thing. That's just the color they usually end up being. For whatever reason, though, it's actually not terrible. I don't think it looks terrible. It'd be great if I could get, if I get individual ones. So like the centerpiece looks like it's like some kind of like cicada or like a bee. No, there's a wasp beside it and a dragonfly. So it's not that, I don't know, some kind of fly or cicada in the center. It's a weird like weird Power Ranger-y thing. But it's I don't know, there's kind of something kind of charming about knockoffs like this. Let's move on. So do you remember these guys? Do you remember okay, so Sentinel originally made these pens of Optimus Prime that you could transform. They did like Magnus White and Nemesis Black, etc., etc. This is obviously not the original version. This is far derpier than the original one was, but it does transform in a very similar manner. I bring this up because now there's a variety. Would you like a very basic generic one that also has a clock in it? I don't know why you would ever need a clock in your pen. Imagine like being in a situation where you need a pen, but also a clock and do not have either on you. Well, the knockoff Sentinel toy has your back. But no, it functions the same way. It's a lot of retooling, don't get me wrong. It's a very generic looking bot, but it certainly doesn't look like Optimus Prime anymore. Transformation scheme's exactly the same, and it still looks just as uncomfortable to actually use in writing. God, can you get refills for this? Can I actually contact the company and get refills on these things? Like when the pen goes out? I suppose for $5.50, I suppose I could just keep buying more of them and just have piles of these, like, scrawny robots lined up everywhere as the pens dry up, which is not a problem because they come in a variety of colors. I just like how it's stacked up like here, so like lighters at a convenience store. It's absurd. Okay, so at least you get, here's a green one, here's a blue one, here's a yellow one, here's a red one. So hey, if this is your preferred method of writing, at least you can get like variety out of it, right? And your army building, like this is a troop builder. As you run out of pens, this is just how you build up your army. And for only $2.21 a pop, I think you're doing pretty good. I think that's less than a basic ballpoint pen. Let's see. Let's move into a dinosaur segment. Shall we move into dinosaurs? So I found these, which are not knockoff transformers, but they are just super cheap dino transformers, which of course there's many of. Yeah, it's the raptor head just comes off and becomes a weapon, because that's easier to engineer, and it's just as hollow and cheap as these kind of like knockoffy dino transformer things always are. But what got to me was some of the others in the assortment. So, for instance, okay, basic Triceratops, right? At least it's, you know, the back comes off rather than the head. Look at the artwork. The artwork is of a skeletal Triceratops, which in no way looks like how it does in the actual packaging. No surprise, this company stole all of its artwork, along with most likely the molds. Yeah, and then we get, like, okay, basic... It's supposed to be some kind of Stegosaurus, but no spikes on the tail, very few fins, incorrect head. Weird. Just weird. And another take on the T-Rex, which kind of just works the same way. It's just detailed differently. These always amuse me. Like the knockoffy, like super cheap dinosaur transformers always amuse me. Ever since I saw them in like Easter baskets at Kmart of all places. But, you know, it's always funny to see how cheap they can make a dinosaur transformer. It's not the only ones who did it, though. Here's another set of knockoffy dinosaurs, but these, aside from looking marginally better, might also look a little familiar. You'll notice a far more skeletal design. They're definitely trying a little bit harder to actually transform. This one probably stands out the most if you actually know your transforming robot toy lines. These are dinosaurs. I don't know if they're directly knockoff or if they are just based on those molds and that transformation system, but they are definitely based on the dinosaurs. The heavy amount of shell really gets that across. This is supposed to be a velociraptor, by the way. This thing with a super long neck, that's how velociraptors looked. You can tell it's such a velociraptor by the fact that it has no feathers, isn't small, and has normal claws, not the talon that made him cool. Yeah, and then Stegosaurus just kind of looks like a blossom. I don't know. I feel like dinosaurs are so untapped. I kind of wish there were better quality knockoffs, because those are also clear plastic nightmares. They're clear plastic and chrome. Good luck finding ones in good shape today. Moving on. There's something, again, that kind of feels familiar. I think we might have talked about it, but we're going to talk about it again. I don't care because these came up and they're kind of cute. These are just simple little transforming guys. There's nothing overly complex about them. They're just these super simple little figures. Now, the tractor robo seems to be just a little bit mistransformed, that midsection there. The durable and reliable children's toys. Yep. That's a name that'll surely attract kids to the line. Okay, so what else? So we've got this Skywarp looking dude, turns into like a nice, simple, like double engine jet. He kind of looks cool. We've got a boat turning into a captain. You can see these are all available in 2 different colors, by the way. They just invert which colors are shown. You'll also find that they have Tobot style packaging for some reason. I think of all this, there's the waist correctly transformed. I think of all of them, I kind of like the tank the best. There's something cute about the tank. Like, it's actually got kind of a warpath thing going on with the turret being the chest, but also, like, I kind of like how it flips the treads over to become the top of the shoulders. I actually like how that looks. Like, there's part of me thinking, like, if I were to go out of my way to actually get one of these and see how it is, it probably would be this guy. I don't know if I could choose the color, but for less than $5, I think I'd be willing to take a shot. How about you? I don't know if I'm actually going to buy it for review. It's certainly not a Transformers alternative. It'd just be a super weird robot I'd talk about one day. Let's move back into the realm of proper Transformers, though, shall we? So I found these super deformed metal sculpture, like they're like metal model kits. You know, like you've seen these. Little things similar to these. I don't know if these are actually based on actual Transformer kits that exist. The only metal models I've seen of Transformers are actually like properly sized. They weren't this super deformed look. They don't look too bad, other than I'm sure like they are hazardous to hold and move because it's very, very cheap metal painted with who knows what. What made me click on this, however, is the title of the listing, which calls these Pocket Monsters. Mini Monster 3D Metal Stereoscope Assembly Model. If you didn't know there was a Pokemon crossover with Transformers, there you go. It's now a thing. I said proper Transformers, and then I gave you these like horrific metal sculptures. I apologize for lying. Do you want to get to a proper Transformer now? Because we can do that. We have the classic, the go-to, the be-all, end-all of Transformer knockoffs. We've got fake Devastators. Fake constructicons for all of your construction-y needs. And honestly, the boy does not look bad in black and purple. I mean, it's very basic. It certainly doesn't stand out or flash nearly as much as the green does. And you can see where the additional parts and stickers are very lacking because all the black just kind of washes everything out. But, you know, purple and black's kind of iconic of a Decepticon. So if you want stealth construction vehicles for all of your nighttime construction activities, there you go. That is actually a thing. Oh, is that not, is that too dark for you? Okay, hang on. Let's switch to light mode because it also comes in all white for some reason. At least this one looks a little bit better. I can actually see the internal parts, like the windows. Was the head even painted? Yeah, the head was painted on the original. It's just the same design. It's the same knockoff. It's just cast in white plastic instead of black. They want premium price for it, though. I guess even a knockoff Devastator is valuable to some people. Look at the box. Look at the box. It still says more than meets the eye. It still says Constructicon vehicles. But they've marred out anything that says transform. And the name and they took Constructicons is still listed, but not Devastator. They took Devastator out. The individual bot names are intact. And anywhere they just like very like with a smudge tool in Photoshop, they just kind of wiped out all of the like trademarky logos. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny. It's not the only G1 knockoff you can get. I saw a knockoff Motormaster, Motormaster and Stunticons. I saw knockoffs of the aerial bots and Protectobots. That's all fine and well, and they look like the normal ones. They're just cheaply made. And then there's this guy. I'm not sure what happened to Piranacon here, but things did happen. At first, it seems okay, and then you notice the super bright, like, highlighter green. And then you realize, oh, a lot of the colors are actually correct, but they're in the wrong spots. The chest should definitely not be maroon. So at first glance, some of them look okay, and then you see Snaptrap over here. I don't know what he's doing. That is the most garish turtle I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, they kind of follow the same pattern. Like, at least they're all color matched. Weird way, kind of, sort of. I don't know. It's like a colorblind test gone wrong. Let's see. There's a few other weird ones we can get into. We're going to hit some random ones as we close out this video. I found this, which was kind of an interesting looking combiner. And at first I didn't know what it was going for, because it just kind of looks like this Anubis looking thing. But it's not that. It's actually not that. So we have this image too. Let me bring it down so I can show you. So at first you look at some of this and go, okay, interesting Transformer stuff. Okay, so you got a ram that turns into like a handheld hammer, like a bull that turns into a different style of hammer. Okay, so you've got that kind of thing. You've got a crab that becomes like handheld weapons. Okay, but then you have a vase. You have a vase. You have a scale, and then you start to realize it's all astrological signs. It's a Transformer zodiac of weapon masters. Or battle masters, whatever you want to call them. Mini-cons, I don't care. It's a whole bunch of just transforming astrological symbols that turn into weapons and then combine into a 10-inch robot. You know, it's one of these silly, goofy, knockoffy ideas that I actually can really get behind. This actually seems fun. Like, if these were produced in solid grays and blacks, it would look super boring. But I can mix and match these with any of my Transformers and it would make sense, right? Even now, like if these had 5mm pegs, if I knew these fit in Transformer hands, this would actually be interesting to pick up just for the weapon set it would provide. You know, and if you're into astrological signs and everything, it's kind of a cool little novelty thing. Though I do notice on his chest, there's just some dude as the chest shield. Like, you can see his helmet and his face, and he's just there to absorb hits. What a life. What a life. There are other Transformers I can mention. I found these that knock off robots in disguise crash changers. Then there's some of them that I'm not even sure had. I don't remember a jet crash changer. Then this certainly does look like a car that's been given wings. But yeah, these exist, and they are in a variety of colors. Look at this. You get whole sets of them. You got like an aerial set. I'm pretty sure I did not see that jet in any of these lines. Could be wrong. There's Strong Arm in kind of Strong Arm colors. Optimus is in kind of Optimus colors. Bumblebee is too. Jet, why did I say that? Yeah, super bright looking Sideswipe there in Bumblebee colors. Yes, go ahead, make the Sunstreaker joke now. I didn't even realize that 2015 had toys worth knocking off, but apparently so. So I'm going to wrap up with this, because we are starting to get pretty long on this video. One of the things that comes up a lot when you search for these things is building blocks, because it's very easy to make characters and Transformers out of just whatever generic blocks they can cast and dump in a box. So you get things like this, though this is like the most horrific example I found. Granted, it looks like it transforms without coming apart like all the others, but man, he looks like he's in pain. Oh my God. God, he looks like he's from Vampires. It's not pretty. I point this out because I want you to know how many of these like Transformer alikes or just straight up knockoffs are actually just building block kits. And some of them just kind of look like super weird Transformer kits. Some of them actually don't look too bad. And then there's this. Just in time, I just lost my sleep paralysis demon, and now I get to live with the knowledge of this robot covered with eyes and teeth. Just staring at me. Like half of them are staring at me. Half of them are staring off into the distance. I think that makes it worse somehow. And I'm going to leave you on that. So, as always, thank you everyone for watching. And I will see you next time.
We parlay with the captain.
You think a werecroc is going to listen to elvish rules of piracy?
Of course it would be the freaking elves that invented parlay.
I had to think of a quick replacement for the French.